You're not here to live for other people's approval. You're here to live for your soul. And once you realize how little people think about you, the fear of judgment starts to melt away. And when you become free of that fear of judgment, your life becomes so much better in so many ways that you can't even imagine it. You can't even fathom how much better your life gets once you get rid of this fear of judgment that you have. So my name is Yash. I've been on self-improvement for about 3 years now, and I'm just gonna give you some knowledge, some tips on how I actually overcame the fear of judgment in my long 3 years, and hopefully I can help you shortcut the process to a couple of weeks. It can actually be done in 3 weeks, but it just took me a really long time to first identify the problem and realize what was going on in my head and how to change it. So the first thing I want to talk about is when people are judging you, you have to view it from an empathetic point of view, right? You can't be selfish. What do I mean by this? How can I say that you thinking other people are judging you is selfish? Well, it is, and I'll explain to you why. The reason it's selfish is because you're not thinking about the other person. You're only considering your point of view. But when you become more empathetic about the whole thing, you start to consider what made this person do this. That's when you realize in your head there are 1,000,001 possibilities for the reason that this person said something to you or acted in a way which is judgmental, and that is why they did it. And those are 1,000,001 reasons might not be to do with you, right? Out of all those reasons, you're only one of them. There are 1,000,000 other reasons that it could have been, right? Maybe their pet dog died that day, so that made them sad, and so they're venting it out on you. Maybe they view the situation differently and it's all just a misunderstanding, and what they did felt like a good idea to them, but to you it felt like a personal attack and judgment. So that is my first piece of advice, which is in your day-to-day life, try and think about it in terms of their perspective. Try and think about both people's perspective, both parties. What made this person do this? Is it 100% me? Or could it be that they're going through something really bad? Maybe they have depression. Maybe they're a very anxious person. Maybe they're super insecure about something, and so they're trying to cover it up and they're trying to feel a little bit better. Maybe they have very bad emotional health. There could be so many reasons. I could go on with more and more examples, right? But you get my point. And so that leads me on to the next thing, which is you need to take care of your emotional health when it comes to this. And what do I mean specifically? You need to be very, very cognizant of your specific thought patterns when you start to blame someone. Because that is where this fear of judgment actually comes from. It comes from the fact that you're blaming someone else for feeling judged. That feeling of judgment actually comes from you, right? Because you don't know what's going on in his head. Let's say I'm having a conversation here, and then I've got my friend Joe over here. I'm speaking to Joe, and then I say something, and Joe makes some kind of reaction. I take that reaction as judgment, but that's me. I have no clue what Joe's thinking, but I am the one who is taking that to be judgment. I'm actually judging his reaction as judgment. So that's actually us being judgmental. That's not him being judgmental, right? So you have to understand that in this situation with me and Joe, I'm blaming him for reacting in a certain way. And blame actually comes from the smaller part of ourselves as humans. It comes from the part which craves self-pity, which really is super, super insecure, which has deep, dark thoughts, which is never satisfied emotionally and always is looking for more and more validation, coddling, affection, approval, all these sorts of things. It comes from a smaller part of us, which, like the lesser human being. That's essentially where blame comes from. So basically, we need to eliminate blame. We need to completely forget that blame is a thing, and need to basically, whenever anything happens, this is the one sentence that you should tell yourself if you want to eliminate blame forever, which is, it must have been a good idea in that situation. Think about it. Let me say it again. It must have been a good idea in that situation. So if you were in the exact same situation, right? You had been born into the same family, you had the exact same genetics, you were brought up the exact same way, you were in that exact moment of time in that person's life, would you have done the same thing? Probably yes, because it seemed like a good idea at the time. And even if it might not have seemed like a good idea, or even if it feels super hard to accept that, just tell yourself that. Just tell yourself, yeah, it must have seemed like a good idea to that person. That's why they did that. And that saves you from a lot of emotional BS, really. It saves you a lot of negativity and anger and confusion and a lot of spent energy on something which is useless, i.e., blaming someone else. So that is my second piece of advice. Stop blaming people and start thinking to yourself, it must have seemed like a good idea for them to react that way. And finally, realize that when someone is judging you, it says a lot more about them than it does you, right? Because as long as you're not doing something which is harming someone else, as long as you're good intentions, if you're well-intentioned, right? If you're trying to be a good person, then there is nothing inherently wrong with what you're doing, right? I'm not, offending someone else. I'm not putting someone else down. I'm not using them as a stepladder. I'm not manipulating them. I'm not doing anything bad. I'm just trying to, even with this channel, I'm just trying to become a better person and help other people become better people and become more fulfilled in their life, right? So if someone judges me for it, it just says a lot more about them than it does about me, because they're judging me for doing what they couldn't. They're judging me for having the confidence to try. And in fact, nowadays people have come up with a term as well to insult people who try. A tryhard, right? And it's probably not even that new, but think about it. Think about how crazy that is. People are mocking you for trying hard. Try hard. Try hard. Since when is trying hard at becoming a better person or having some kind of goal and trying hard to achieve it, since when is that not cool? Since when is that not inspiring and motivating and a brilliant thing? That is what humans are for. Humans are supposed to have such high endeavors and intellectual tasks that take a lot of dedication and are very tough to do. That is what God created the human level of intelligence for, because otherwise we'd just be animals. And so something so beautiful can be judged by other people, but does it change the fact that it's beautiful? No. Right? If someone looks at me and says, haha, your purple hair looks so funny, it doesn't change the fact that my hair's black and it's not purple. And you need to apply this philosophy to all the areas of your life. If someone tells me, oh, you're so fat, I'm not going to feel insecure about it. I'm just going to find it funny because I know I'm not fat. If someone tells me, oh, you're so stupid for posting YouTube videos, I'm just going to laugh because I know I'm not stupid. And I know that it's only a good thing that I'm trying to bring the world on a movement to become more fulfilled as people. And so that is my third tip, which is realize that them judging you says a lot more about them than it does you. And those are the 3 biggest pieces of advice that I wish I knew when it came to overcoming the fear of judgment. A final bonus tip for you, now that you've stayed here, as a reward, I guess, for having a good attention span that's not cooked. If you do have a cooked attention span and you're somehow here, then I do have a video about attention span, which I posted a few days ago. But back to the point. Here's what you can do if you're being... a bonus thing that you can do, which is just go out and do weird stuff. And it sounds like a really bad idea at first, but think about it. If you, I don't know, go out and on the street and then lie down on the pavement for like 5 seconds, and you realize that the world doesn't stop spinning. You realize that, wait, no one actually cares. No one really thinks about me that much. I am not the center of attention. People have their own lives to worry about. Once you realize these things, you realize that you can do whatever you want, right? I can, I don't know, stick my tongue out in this video and people won't care, because at the end of the day, all they want is advice. All they want is to regain a sense of courage and hope to actually start taking action and changing their lives for the better and becoming more fulfilled. So do weird stuff. Take random 5-second pauses in the middle of your video, right? Smile, wink at the camera. Just do just do random funny stuff that entertains you, and guess what? No one will care, and guess what? Your life will get better. You'll be happier. You'll be more fulfilled, right? I talk about discipline plus joy equals fulfillment. This thing will increase your joy. So I hope I've got rid of your fear of judgment, and if I have, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that beautiful algorithm stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.